This is my walking horse mare, Ed's Easter morning. There's Eric up on her. This is a really nice mare. I love this horse. You hear me talk about horses with good temperaments, and this one right here embodies all that. In my opinion, I mean, just as far as temperament goes, this horse is what I love right here. She's wonderful. She's very people-oriented, loves people, really has just a ton of try, will work for you, and just a wonderful, wonderful horse. She's the kind that, you go out, well, most of my horses are like this, but you go out in the pasture and she'll make a point to come over and visit with you and see how you're doing. And she's just, when you're standing around, she just likes being around people and just really likes people, and she's just wonderful. I mean, just absolutely wonderful. And her half-sister, Ed's Golden Girl, is another really good one. These are, for whatever reason, a lot of people don't like fillies and mares. We love them. And these are a couple that I'm keeping. And we're just putting a high level of training on them and taking our time, and just our goal is to turn them into really nice bridle horses. And as you can see, she's riding right now she's riding in the traditional 2-rein. And you see how he's riding her off his legs and his body and balance. And the traditional 2-rein, if you look closely there, I'll try to zoom in a little bit. You see it's got a small, what they call a bozalito. See there? That's the leather bozal basically on her nose. And then she's got 1/4-inch Piccati reins right there. And then the other setup is that the bit is that's a Santa Barbara cheek piece. These kind of Western bits go by a couple things. They go by the type of cheek piece and then also the type of mouthpiece. And these are a weighted, balanced bit. And they look harsh and severe, but they're the exact opposite. And when I post pictures and videos of like a spade bit or whatever, I just get inundated with people calling me an abuser and all sorts of stuff. And just the folks who are saying that just don't understand about what's going on with this. This, getting back to the bit, that what she's riding in right at the moment is a Santa Barbara cheek piece with a half-breed mouthpiece, or it's called a high port, and it's got a cricket in there, which a cricket is a little brass roller. It's kind of like a fidget spinner, and the horses will twirl it with their tongue and stuff. They like to do that. And the big point about the cricket, she's really not rolling it right now. She maybe is, but I can't hear from this distance. But the point of that is, one of the things is to give them something to do, and it creates more saliva, makes the bit more comfortable. But that's one thing. But the other aspect of it is that you can kind of hear what's going on emotionally with your horse when you start to learn about what a nervous horse will do with it and what a calm horse will do. And a nervous horse will you won't hear any cricket going at all. That means that their jaw's kind of locked and their tongue's kind of locked and they're worried about something. Or it's going crick, 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 and it's not stopping. And then they're kind of like nervous, like flicking it around. But intermediate, rolling it now and again and stuff like that lets you know, oh, they got it. They understand what we're trying to teach here. Oh, this is bothering them, or they're fine with this or fine with that, So they're really handy for that kind of thing. But you see she's coming along really nicely. These horses, all my horses are Tennessee walking horses, and I think I'm one of the only facilities out there that's doing what we're doing, which is breeding, raising, and training them to be really good bridle horses. We don't do the gaited tradition, which is a different sort of thing. It's kind of a little bit more English, ride with a constant contact. I think they tend to get the horses bothered and rigid and nervous. This tradition that we do, which is the vaquero tradition or the California tradition, the horses just seem to just really do well with it, and they're calm, and respond well. And I like the kind of riding. They get to the point to where you can hardly tell what the rider's doing to get them to perform, which I think is really neat. And you can see she's just, I don't think you can hear it in the video, but she's rolling the cricket real relaxed. So you can kind of see her like she's chewing a little bit. And what's neat about this, if you look here at those reins hanging down, most of the time you're riding the horse, they're just hanging like that. Lots of our riding is done with a loose rein, with punctuated moments of collection, like where you would collect them up to do a certain task, which would be easier for them when they're all collected, or better form like that. But I think this is part of the reason they like this so much too, is we end up giving the horse a lot of responsibility. Okay, now see the two rein thing. If you hear, now he's trying to get her to do something here. I don't know what he's doing yet, but the reason for the two rein is if he has to do some lateral work, meaning like maybe he's going to turn on the haunches to the right and she's bending her head to the left, you would be able to reach up and just pull that rein a little bit to the right, because the setup, that the bit and everything is not designed for any sort of lateral work. And so this is kind of a transition phase here. Okay, so this is how we transition into solely riding one-handed. You don't want to, like, for instance, if the horse has a couple holes in its training or things it might not understand really well yet, or maybe it's even its age, you would never use two hands with that kind of bit. Never. It's the horse, when they get to that, they already know, so much of what they're going to learn already. And then it's just polishing up stuff. So she's a Palomino, and she's by my stallion, the Diamond Trip. And I think she's, I'm gonna mess this up. I'm trying to remember who she's out of. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. But the rein setup there is called a Ramal Ring, and the Ramal part is in his right hand there. So that hangs down. You can kind of use it as a quart as well. A quart would be like a crop or something like that. We a lot of times we'll tap that on our leg, or on their neck or something like that, to help them understand what we're trying to communicate, stuff like that. And you wouldn't lead the horse by that rein setup. So when you get off and dismount, that's the other reason you would need the Bozolito there and the Macati on there, is to lead the horse. And sometimes if you watch some of our videos, he'll be riding a horse with that Bozolito and a Macati as just a get down rope. And a lot of times he'll have it tied around the horse's neck there. I'm trying to point to it. The horse's neck there. and then loops around and he ties it to the saddle. And that's for when you get down, you have something to lead the horse by, and you won't ruin their mouth, hurt them in any way. We call it betraying them, you know. But this is a wonderful horse. Yeah, she's just waiting for him. We do a lot of this. It's kind of like watching paint dry, but we do a lot of this because a lot of people don't do this. You get their horses to stand relaxed and calm. So we teach them, they're off, you know, and they learn to value being off. You know, I see how he just loosened that more. So now he's just strictly using the rein. And so depending on where your horse is in the training, with the 2 rein setup here, sometimes you'll have it to where the Makati makes contact way before the bit. That's how you'd start up. And then they slowly get the idea of a feel of the bit and stuff. And now, see, now he's just doing it with the bit. And you see how he's just laying it on her neck. It's kind of like neck reining, but without them. It is kind of like neck reining, but it's a little different. But see how she's really calm about that. She's all about it. And he hadn't ridden her in, I think he said 2 or 3 weeks. And he just saddled her up, got her all tacked up, and just swung his leg over. He'd do that periodically to see how they do, you know. Now he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't climb on if the horse was acting up. He'd assume, okay, that ain't ready. But he's just giving the horse more responsibility and trusting the horse. So this is kind of where we're going with them, with all our horses. This is our goal here. And we don't even really work on the gait. Lots of people in the gaited tradition, if they'd been hammering the gait right now like crazy. So I think she's 4, you know, so or 5, I can't remember. But they would have been hammering the gait and trying to get them to gait from the very beginning, you know. And they tend to build in a lot of stiffness. And this is where you'll get the Tennessee walking horses that seem to only have one speed, and that's go, you know. And that's because they just haven't been taught a really good foundation. So we spend a tremendous amount of time getting the foundation, teaching them all to be soft and relaxed while riding, and beginning of collection and all that. And then, by then, most of the time they're already gaiting, you know, and then we might start to work at it a little bit. But it is way down on our priorities because these horses genetically will gait, okay? And what will get in the way of them gaiting is stiffness, nervousness, you know, and stuff like that, where they might pace more or something, whatever. They're just not relaxed. And so it's kind of one of those things where the gaiting lesson, since it is genetic anyway, you know, just get their foundation on, get them relaxed to where they know what to expect with you when you ride them. And then once they're good like that, then you can start working on the gait. You already got a horse that's connected with you and is relaxed and everything. They just gait wonderfully. Then we don't have any problems. And this, like, also, the thing with this bit here, like I said, it's a weighted bit and it's a balanced bit. And it has a position, like he's trying to collect her up a little bit there. She was overdoing it. But the bit's a balanced bit and it's weighted. So it has a position that it wants to hang in the horse's mouth. So if that horse were to grab a hold of that bit now and raise its head up really high, that bit, because it's weighted, would put a little bit of pressure on the curb strap there and a little bit on the pole, and it would start to leave the tongue. Now, the curb strap on these, when we do these, let me zoom in a little bit, they're really pretty tight. We only can get about a finger between the horse's jaw and the thing. And what the importance of that is that it's only going to move about a ½ inch. This bit will never touch the roof of their mouth. It only leaves their tongue a ½ inch. And then it has a very comfortable place to hang when the horse, I'll try to do it with my hand here, when the horse holds his head a certain way, in a certain position, that bit will float and will bounce. And like I tell people, you've probably heard me say this in some of the videos, is that it works off of gravity, and gravity has perfect timing. It releases the minute the horse complies, and it enacts itself the minute it doesn't. And so it has perfect timing. So you're never late, it's never early, it's just perfect. And so the horses, when they start covering some country, learn to hold their self in a certain way. That's Lily and that's Eric. Thanks for watching. Should people subscribe? They should. Hey, smash that like button and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching.